Across the globe, the approach to travel is shifting. Shifting to travel that embraces the healing power of a destination, where travelers seeking solace find balance through a spectacular wellness experience. This need for solace is translated into a £500 billion business worldwide and is growing more than twice as fast as any other tourism overall. So what does this mean for Sri Lanka? What does this mean for you? Thanks to Sri Lanka's rich natural assets of landscapes, culture and heritage, we couldn't be better placed to capitalize on this major global movement. If you are in the business of wellness or wellness tourism, join us, the Sri Lankan Wellness Association and the Export Development Board, as we present Wellness, the New Paradigm in Sri Lanka Tourism, a series of live and interactive webinars curated by wellness industry specialists. From understanding what wellness truly is to the current change in travel trends and how to market to the wellness traveler, let us help you understand the new opportunities for your business.
So, Aiboan everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. This is the second in a series of webinars organized by the Sri Lankan Wellness Tourist Association and the EDB in an effort to identify the potential of wellness tourism for Sri Lanka and also to position or help position this amazing resource that we have in terms of this island and align it to the wellness needs of the world. So we've got an expert panel with us today, and I'm going to start by introducing our panel to you. We've got Dr. Sam following up from his first session during the first webinar. Dr. Sam is the founder and director of Sen Wellness in the UK and both in Sri Lanka. We have Nilusha Kodituaku. She also moderated the first session. She's a member of the Wellness Travel Association and also managing director of Ayurva Travel, an award-winning wellness travel agency here in Sri Lanka. We have Dr. Namal Jayawardena joining us, who is Ayurveda consultant, physician, and a senior lecturer in the Department of Indigenous Medicine at the University of Colombo. We have Danny Shah, founder of Fellow Travels, and Miss Annie Hood, founder and CEO of Well Intelligence, joining us today. So thank you all for joining us on this second webinar. We have a lot of interest right now, especially post-COVID, as to where this market of wellness stands and where Sri Lanka fits in this puzzle. So before we get things going, since this is a wellness webinar, we like to start it in a slightly different manner. We want to get ourselves centered. We want to get ourselves prepared. And we thank Venerable Nimal for being here to guide us in a short meditation to prepare us all for the session ahead of us. Venerable Nimal, over to you.
Thank you. Welcome to the meditation today. So please be comfortable in your posture. Try to be straightened. And then slowly close your eyes. Especially this, I'm going to do today loving kindness meditation. It's a mind relaxing exercise. It's remove your depression, stress, tension, develop your inner peace and concentration. Bring your all attention into the present moment. Try to be still. Be gentle with your body and your mind. You are not wondering anymore about other things. Just start being here without any stress, tension. There is only a wish to be here. Now just think. I like to be free from enmity and danger. I'd like to be free from mental and physical suffering. I'd like to be happy forever. So now we're going to spread our loving kindness to all the beings, including ourselves. Just think, may I be free from enmity and danger. May I be free from suffering. May I be free from all the mental and physical suffering. May I take care of myself happily. And also, all the beings around me, around my area, in this world, in this universe. May they be free from enmity and danger, be free from mental and physical suffering. May they take care of themselves happily. In the eastern direction, in the western direction, in the northern direction, in the southern direction, in the northwest direction, in the northwest direction, in the northeast direction, in the southwest direction, in the direction below, in the direction above, all the beings, be free from enmity and danger, be free from mental and physical suffering. May they take care of themselves happily. All the beings, be happy. Now slowly take a deep breath in. Gently, while you breathe out, slowly open your eyes. Thank you.
Very much, Venerable Nimal. As we begin our session, is Nilusha still with us? I can't see her on screen. Okay. So as we begin our session, I'll first come to you, Annie. I think moving forward, Sri Lanka has been part of the wellness tourism sector for quite a while because we've had Ayurveda woven into our culture and into our tourism as well. But we haven't really looked at wellness as a big part of our tourism till now. And now that we are looking out there, and there are lots of people from the hospitality industry joining us today, I think a good place to start will be to define what wellness tourism exactly is, and also a little information on the size of the market, the potential. And someone has already asked a question, which I can link onto this, is that how do you see the change in wellness tourism post-COVID, and also in particular in what do you see the change in Asia versus Europe as well? So if we can start off with that, Annie.
Yes, with pleasure, with pleasure. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome, of course. Well, wellness travel, first of all, to define it, it's about purpose. It is about generally travel associated with the maintenance and the enhancing of one's well-being. Now, that's a very generalist view, and what's important, for everyone to understand is there are primary and secondary travelers. So the value of the wellness tourism economy, right now is almost 640 billion, just shy. 639.4, I believe it is. And it's expected, this was pre-COVID, expected to grow to around $1 trillion by 2022. Now that is a huge amount, right? But we mustn't get seduced by those huge numbers too much, because it's split between primary and secondary purpose travellers. Now, the primary purpose travellers, which is largely, I think, the market that you want to pursue, it means well-being is the core purpose of their trip. That's the only reason they're going away, to be their best selves, to return from the trip feeling better than they did, to likely stay at some sort of retreat or resort where they're following a program, fairly lengthy one, maybe 5, 7, 12, 14 days. And that is only 11% of that 640 billion, okay? 89% is secondary wellness travelers, and that means that the purpose of their trip is for something other than wellness, okay? And that means it's a family trip, it's a holiday, it's a business trip, but whilst they're on that trip, they might have a massage, they might join a group class, and so there's a little bit of wellness, wrapped up in there. But that's the split: 11% primary, 89% secondary out of that big 640 billion market. Now, the good news is that it's my opinion, and it remains to be seen, is that this will continue to grow post-COVID. What's the reason for that? Well, the focus for everyone is likely to be more specifically on their own well-being. COVID is a pretty lethal virus, and I'll come on later to the specifics of where I see the opportunity for Sri Lanka, but the opportunities for you lie in a responsiveness to where we are in the world, in my humble opinion. Everybody's scrambling a little bit for where to get back onto the front foot as far as tourism goes, and all of these things play a part in what your strategy is going to be to go forward. Shalin, remind me about the other questions. I'm sorry. We
were trying to grasp the first which you did. Grasp a bit of the scale, and do you have any numbers with regard to Asia particularly?
Well. Yeah, I mean, Asia is a very, very strong market. I haven't, I mean, I can find it pretty quickly, but the specific, breakdown, for Asia is out of that 640 billion. God, I don't want to give you the wrong figure. I mean, I can find it and post it for you. And, I think for Asia is in many ways synonymous, with that sense of getting back on track, that well-being. The labour market is so, if you will, predisposed to that, and it has a more a softer, if you will, more holistic purpose to it, whereas Europe it tends to be a little more clinical in its approach. Asia, tends to embrace spirituality a little more than Europe does, and that's a really important factor. And I'll come on to, sort of considered consumption, what I'm terming human emergence, which I'm seeing as a trend, that's really starting to poke through, particularly given, the last few months and, the world has been going through. So one aspect of sort of West versus East, if I can say that, is that Asia has that fundamental spiritual anchor, which you also share obviously in Ayurveda, in yoga, in that embrace of nature. Not that doesn't exist elsewhere, but that's certainly an edge for Asian countries.
Well, I'll just follow that up quickly because it ties in well. This is actually a question I had for Danny, but I'll pose it to you since we are having some connection issues. How do you profile the new wellness traveler? When I say new wellness traveler, I mean, yes, there was evolving wellness traveler, but you would expect post-COVID for that pool to grow. And how would you profile that?
Well, look, I mean, I don't profess to know all the answers now. It's very fluid, in terms of where we are as a world. But there are 4, really key macro trends that, company called Masher actually shared with me, and the first is considered consumption. The second, and I'll explain, kindness and community, fairness, honesty and authenticity, and a sense of resetting, not rebounding. So the first, the considered consumption, that sense of living with less, a sense, this is consumers, okay? Glorified frugality, sharing, renting, borrowing. There's a little bit of a backlash happening on status flaunting. So humility has really stepped up. Now note savings rate globally, that is going up. And that's a strong indicator for this sense of frugality. And I'll pull the threads through as the webinar goes on. The kindness and community, you know, that's that collective effervescence. And I can't remember who, that's not my phrase, that's someone else's. I think it's an academic. You know, that sense of people being together is very valued at the moment. Not that it wasn't before, but remember I said, you know, some of these trends are accelerating and forming new trends. Fairness, honesty and authenticity is that intolerance of poor behavior at all levels. Individuals, government, companies, you know, people want to see fairness, transparency, honesty, trust is massively important. And the resetting, again, important. People don't want to go back to their old habits, which will be rebound. They want to look forward. We're at a pivot for what I'd call a paradigm shifting culture, and this is where Sri Lanka can really you know, take advantage. And I'll come on to more later. I don't want to take up too much airtime.
Thank you, Annie. I'm just going to jump ahead. We had the sequence I was planning on going because it ties in well. Sam, if I can engage you in this, mindfulness is something that's very ingrained in our culture, whether it's through Buddhism or through Ayurveda, really mindfulness, meditation, and so on. And I know you do a lot of work around that through your curated programs and so on. How strong, I mean, mindfulness or the meditation channel is even tipped to be the next yoga in terms of exploding out there commercially as well. Given we have this strong sense of mindfulness and all these meditation techniques ingrained in our culture, how strong can we leverage that as a tourism benefit or around that? I think you've done work around that already. So if you can just elaborate for everyone.
Sure. Thank you, Sally. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, and good to be back here again. Yeah, I want to sort of start with where the mindfulness meditation terms of consumer demand. You know, like it's like a exploited here and in Western Europe because people are on webinars, Zooms, and digitally totally connected. So people need an escapism, and part of that is the mindfulness and meditation, especially more young audience. You know, but I'm talking about below 50. You know, these old people are really looking for some sort of mindfulness meditation at the moment. It's a global phenomenon. So there's a huge demand, and I would say it's a billion-dollar industry. You know, there are apps that is exploited and trying to take advantage. So there's a limitation, shortcoming from this kind of apps offering mindfulness meditation experience. So this is where Sri Lanka can really position itself because, first of all, you look at the countries worldwide, our competitors, but Sri Lanka is far on top in terms of mindfulness meditation. School children go to Sunday school, they do mindfulness meditations, and I started from that, so it's our heritage and culture. And that mindfulness meditation could be our biggest export to the world, and in a good, positive way. And it's also bring the spiritual element because Sri Lanka is not like a really heavy on the sort of religious aspect. We can take the religious element out and just really work on what's the value of the mindfulness meditations. And many Western people are attracted to that, but also I think it is very important that we really understand, how we understand the consumer demand, what they're looking for, what they're seeking for, because it needs to be really to understanding the mindset and to be able to connect such a way that they can be embraced. It's very important. And so, we talked about in the past, we had gone down the Golok, like a traditional Ayurvedic routes, like promoting Ayurveda. That's fantastic, but that's already been established and people know that destinations. But that's not enough for us to position ourselves in a global wellness trend. We need to expand that to the more offering. And I think the mindfulness meditation is so natural and it really can be structured such a way that we can attract much more audience. It could be that, resort there and we can take it to the Buddhist temple and meditate in the temple. That's really become authentic and also it's really become community affair because, and he said, people are today looking for much more authentic experience, more community-based experience, and less is more. So in that sense, mindfulness meditation positions itself like a strong element, and that could be a very good traction for Sri Lanka because if you look at the other competitors countries, that it's not that strong, but Sri Lanka has that strong element of mindfulness meditation, especially in the rural community. So if we can promote that in a way that will be attract the sort of the wellness seekers, that would be fantastic, especially bringing a new audience because Ayurveda is sort of, mindfulness meditation is everyone knows. Ayurveda, not everyone knows it because you need to have some sort of connection to that. The German market is very strong on Ayurveda because it's been there. But if you look at the UK market, if you look at the Australia, if you look at the American market, they're not very into the Ayurveda, but they are big into the mindfulness meditation and yoga. So we really need to expand that the offering if you want to attract much more expanded version seekers, I think. Is that right?
So,
is that what you're looking for selling?
Exactly. And Sam, do you think, given the culture and the upbringing of Sri Lankans, when you talk about training people to be in this industry, that we have the right people for the job?
That's a big question. Yeah. That I mean, you have to ask, do you have right people for Ayurveda as well? Because I think there are good therapists in Sri Lanka. I think the stakeholders need to come together and really package in such a way that is highly professional. But Sri Lanka has a natural resources. You have Ayurveda, you have a mindfulness meditation, and we have a nature. But I don't think as a service industry we are really in tune to service the high-end market. And that needs to be trained professionally. And for example, the language is the big factor, and also understanding the real fine tuning to how to connect with this travel. It's not like a leisure tourism. Leisure tourism is all about mass tourism, but the wellness tourism is much more niche, and people need to really connect with the seekers and really support their journey. That means I think the staff and this resort really in tune with what they're looking for. So to answer your question, mindfulness meditation. Yeah, sure. I think we have trained our staff. Our Ayurvedic doctor is beautiful mindfulness teacher. When Balvimal came on this stage, we sometimes collaborate with them. So I think it's also making a link with the community. It could be a temple, and it could be inviting the Buddhist priest to come once a week or few times a week to the resort and meditate with the group. So that can be easily structured in the way if given the initiatives, right?
Right. Great. Thanks, Sam. I'll go to Nilusha straight away. Nilusha, you're one of the few, or may even be the only exclusively wellness travel agent in Sri Lanka, and we're proud that you've been winning several world awards on that as well. So well done to that. And what I wanted to ask you is, when you sell Sri Lanka or when you get inquiries for Sri Lanka, what is your client looking at? How do you see what we offer against the other competition around us in Asia? Let's start there. So what are they asking for, and how do you pitch us against the competition in the region, and why do they end up choosing Sri Lanka?
Yeah, thanks, Shah. So basically, firstly, I want to say we are really blessed that our work has been recognized internationally. We have been winning as the world's best wellness travel agency by the World's Spa Awards last 3 consecutive years, and we just got nominated for 2020. What makes us different today is our compassion and our dedication to give the best service and then these unique offerings to our clients. When we think about the inquiries that we get, well, if I look at like 5 years back, it has been really based on things like spa pampering. Clients wanted some luxury stay and then add a little bit of yoga and meditation into it. But then I see a huge change, a drastical change in the inquiries and what they're really looking for. Today's traveler is looking for something more meaningful. They need purpose in travel. And as Annie mentioned, I really love how you think, we think align in this, that the purpose and the meaningful traveler, that they need something to go more beyond, like something that connect with them spiritually. So this shift that we see, that they are looking for that deep connection, and Sri Lanka, when it comes to that, as Sam mentioned, it's meditation and then higher energy points that we have. We have these locations where enlightened monks used to meditate, and then these amazing places that you can go and get a guided meditation practice, or else spiritually elevated grounds that you can get connected with local gurus. Those are the options and the offerings that we have in Sri Lanka and are really unique to us. I hope I answered to that, Shali.
Yes, let's dive deeper in when we come back to you. Let's get the doctor on board in terms of understanding a little deeper in this section of Ayurveda, which is a huge part of our heritage, and obviously it's the science of life. But we've been talking lately a lot about Helavedakama. Now, even as Sri Lankans and even as people in the hospitality industry, a lot of people don't understand what is Helavedakama, what is the difference, or what is the connectivity between Ayurveda and Helavedakama. So, doctor, if you could just enlighten us on that, I think that'll be very helpful for us moving forward.
Okay, well, good morning and good afternoon, everybody, and Ibowan. And thank you very much for giving this opportunity to. And the very good question you asked. Now we are facing some problems because no one can't identify what is the Helavedakama, what is Ayurveda, what is happening here in Sri Lanka, what is going on, what are the treatments we are doing based on the Helavedakama or the Ayurveda. Then that is actually a very good question. When we are considering that Ayurveda Act in 1961, number 31 Act, it says, it's defined the Ayurveda. It has so many other practices. It connected with so many other practices. For an example, it has Ayurveda practice, and also it has some Unani and the Siddha as well as the traditional practice. Traditional mean what you say, that's Helavedakama. And all the combination of these therapeutic systems we call as Ayurveda in Sri Lanka. Actually, the traditional medicine or the Helavedakama, we believe that treatment system is descent from the great king Ravana's era, and it's handed down from the generation to generation, and now we are practicing it. Actually, it is one type of identical. It is identical to the Sri Lanka. It is actually in our kings period. Most of our kings, they practice. They practice the traditional system, and not only for the human beings, but some other animals also, they practice this our traditional system, our Helavedakam. And as a in field of tourism, you know, I think that there are so many ancient ruins that our hospitals, especially the Mihintala, the mountain, there's one hospital, the ancient ruin, and we believe that it's that is the first hospital in the world. And also the Polonnaruwa area, there's another hospital, and there are so many other small dispensaries. We are having so many ancient ruins, and that means we had our own identical treatment modalities in Sri Lanka to treat human beings. And also the Ayurveda system, it's origin from the North Indian area. And the Ayurveda system linked with the traditional our Sri Lankan system with several times. I mean that the period of King Vijaya, the systems get linked. And also there are some other, the several times these systems get mixed with the Ayurveda and the Helavedakama. And also now we are practicing by using these two theories, combined theories, now we are practicing. And actually, for an example, if we are considering the disease, what we are doing is we are having the concept of Ayurveda. We can explain all the disease condition through the Ayurveda concepts. And also we are having such a good therapeutic measures in Helavedakama. What we are doing is we are analyzing all the disease condition by using Ayurveda concept and the pathology and the causative factors, what are the other complications, and everything we are analyzing by the Ayurveda concept. Because our Helavedakama, it doesn't have much more concepts. It has some concept, but not much more, not like the Ayurveda. But Ayurveda, we can have thorough knowledge. It's actually philosophy. We can have a thorough knowledge about the disease concept, and then we can apply our Helavedakama treatment to cure the disorders. And also in tourism field, we can use both two systems together. Because for an example, in tourism, we are practicing the Panchakarma theories, Panchakarma concepts, Panchakarma treatment modalities. The Panchakarma treatment modalities come from the Ayurveda system, not the Helavedakama. We can't ignore the Panchakarma treatment in Sri Lanka because the treatment modality is a very effective. And also we can use some Helavedakama concepts also in the tourism field. Okay.
Right. Thank you, Doctor. So moving on, I'll go back to Annie. Annie, well, I mean, all this is means to an end in terms of finding the ideal positioning for Sri Lanka as a wellness destination, and that's what we're all working towards. So in that light, what would you say are the most important components to creating an effective wellness travel destination?
Yes, thanks, Shalin. I think community is an integral part of what you offer. People are longing for that. I think, the simplicity of what you talk about needs to cut through, and overwhelmingly, and perhaps, just backing up a bit, you need to respond directly to need. So the needs of wellness travelers and beyond that now is different to what it was 6 months ago, and I'm not sure whether Nilusha will be seeing this come through yet, but what I mean specifically is about immunity concerns, is about respiratory health. It's about knowing tangible results, and the situation with COVID is not a case of it all going to be behind us. It's fairly well documented that this probably won't be the only pandemic, and we're in this, for it's a marathon rather than a sprint, and there are talks of second waves and so on and so forth. Now, what is required, and when I'm talking about components, and it may not be exactly what you mean in terms of the results, the case studies, clarity of offers, simplicity, agility. The lovely Dr. Namal and Sam have covered some of those, the experiential components, if you will. But your need, as I see it, is to cut through competition and be known for the island that turbocharges one's immune system. And it doesn't mean changing your product. Okay, it means positioning it differently, using a narrative that is resonant to today's wellness traveler. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. So if I were to take it down to one big word there, so immunity is what you're saying is going to be top of mind for everyone post COVID, and given we have this this island where actually we've been handling COVID pretty well as well as far as immunity is going. So in terms of our weather, in terms of the food we eat, in terms of our weather, and so on as well. So pushing the fact that that immunity boost and taking that charge would be a good way to go post COVID. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it is. I mean, more generally to that, it's about prevention. Okay, it's about illness prevention, proactive health, protective medicine. Specifically under that, in response to where we are in the sort of global pandemic, it's definitely immune system, it's respiratory health, and it's strength of spirit. You know, there are a lot of mental health concerns coming through because it's a very anxious, fearful time for many people.
Absolutely. So spiritual health, immunity, all that. It's that whole more everyone getting more alert and conscious about their wellness as a whole. I think is going to drive a lot towards these practices. On the same note, Nilusha, when you look at Sri Lanka against the competition around us, how do you see Sri Lanka standing out in wellness tourism, and especially talking about some of the stuff Annie spoke about now?
Right. In Asia, we have the competition between, I would say, India, Bali, Thailand. There are certain similar offerings such as Ayurveda, healing practices, but then I would say Bali would come as a place like for more detox, retreat locations, spa rejuvenation. At the same time, would say we are really blessed in Sri Lanka to have these amazing, unique practices, monasteries and temples to visit. And then the nature, it's an amazing digital detox getaway as well. Again, when you think about the competition in Asia, I would say, Bhutan is not yet an emerging wellness destination, but I would say in few years to come, we may have like kind of a competition as we are looking at similar offerings where there are monasteries and pilgrimages, and then also Bhutan getting into eco-agro-tourism. So these are the things that we also do offer in Sri Lanka. We see that, but then we are really confident when the clients ask us these options and they want to choose Sri Lanka over. We are really confident in our quality, our service standards, and more than anything, like our wellness experts that we are working with. So on these grounds, it is kind of easier sometimes, like how we want to educate our clients. We do have a challenge when it comes to pricing though. Yeah, so these are my thoughts on that.
Sam, I'll on those lines, I'll address this to you, or something one of our viewers have asked as well. How do you see collaborations coming about with different hospitality sectors and so on in engaging wellness? Because wellness is going to become top of mind. And if I'm a hotel operator, do I bring wellness attributes into my hotel? Do I have the infrastructure for it? If not, how do I get there? As we've been harping on, just putting a spa in a hotel doesn't make it a wellness hotel. But how do you go about bringing some wellness offering into the hotel? Because like Annie was saying as well, there's a secondary and primary wellness traveler, and the secondary wellness traveler is also going to be a little more conscious now about it could be food, it could be spirituality, and so on, where they want a little more, especially when they come to an island like ours. So what are the possibilities of collaborations? How does someone who's already in the hospitality industry, who probably just has a spa in the hotel now, take it to the next level? Can they take it to the next level? What do you feel about that?
Sure. I mean, I'm I'm also a health practitioner, and I've been working with my patients. I always see the angle of what the sick is looking for, and you mentioned that the fact that you need to understand the needs of what the demands out there. So I see Sri Lanka, other places, the people trying to get into the bandwagon of wellness tourism, turning leisure hotel to a wellness hotel. But I think you really need to understand what you're doing first, and really deep insight into what people are looking for. And I see wellness tourism is very different to leisure tourism. The fact that wellness tourism coming for people, they are like a patient. They want you to help, they want you to have specific needs. So the most important thing is if the hotelier wanting to sort of turn into a wellness place, you really need to understand what you're doing first. If you don't understand, then you don't go that route. So first of all, I would say you need to have very clear visions how we want to develop your hotel to a wellness place. That means getting necessary support, getting necessary resources, and most importantly, the knowledge, how to turn into it. Because there are different type of wellness. You can have soft wellness where a hotel will offer some sort of massages and a little bit of wellness experience. Then you have a sort of the places that Ayurvedic tour, medical tourism. They are focused people on mainly on people who are ill, specific illness. They become like Ayurvedic hospital. People can seek to have a certain ailment condition to be treated. And whereas we concentrate on more patients' holistic journey, understanding the both physical level, to mental level, and spiritual level. For us, that comes from the deep insight gaining from the patient needs, so that we know what they're looking for. So you need to recognize where you position yourself. Whether you want to position yourself a little bit of soft wellness, we're offering some treatment, things like maybe targeting secondary seekers, or you want to target primary seekers, and really people in a very purpose-built place where you can really structure the purely authentic treatment. I also think we have to be careful. Some hotels have a leisure side, and some hotel has the same place you can have the wellness side. That's really confusing message, mixing people. That doesn't do very well to the reputation of Sri Lanka or the place itself. So you need to be very clear where you position and get necessary support and help, and put yourself inside the what wellness means and how they want to set it up. And so that's what I would say. Does that answer your question, Salim?
Yes, it does. Now, some also, again, I want to address a little more. Maybe Annie could jump in here as well. The secondary wellness traveler. I mean, as someone looking at the webinar, seeing the numbers, and you're seeing that, and pretty almost 90% of your wellness travelers are going to be secondary wellness travelers. And in that, in a situation like that where the numbers are so high, you did try and appeal to them as well. So in a situation like that, would you still want the country to have programs where they're helping hotels get to that stage as well, or the sector get to that stage where each hotel has something for the secondary wellness traveler? Or do you think that we should have a bigger focus where our primary focus is going to be on the primary wellness traveler and develop more holistic locations? Or is it both? Gosh,
I mean, going out with a single message doesn't mean you lose everything else. It's about differentiation in the marketplace, and you're right. The secondary purpose traveler is the largest share of the pie. I don't know what your breakdown is in Sri Lanka, between primary and secondary. But if I could add more to this, because it isn't just about the public and private sector tourism pieces, being knitted together. It's about this new social contract that's taking shape. And what I mean by that, when I say social contract, it's happening everywhere. So the gap is closing between public and private sector, right? What's happening is putting pressure on economies all over the world. So it matters to every government to have their citizens healthier. And so to that point, it's about a join up between government, businesses and personal responsibility within the location, so that you have that authenticity to offer. It's everybody's singing off the same hymn sheet. You're not PRing one thing, but people get there and the people living there are doing something different. So it's about I'll give you an example. When Nike come out with a brand new brand of runners, it doesn't mean everything else falls off. It just bolsters the value of the whole brand. So going back to the point I was making earlier, that agility and that responding to need now, that immunity, the optimization of respiratory health, and being able to measure it. We haven't talked about technology, but that's actually a really important part of our future. People knowing that they're more well, knowing that they're getting results from where you are. So what I think it comes down to is clarity and resonance, with the people that you're aiming at. And you're, Shalin, the no matter whether you're a primary or a secondary purpose traveller, your own personal well-being is taking a much higher priority because of what the whole world is going through right now.
Absolutely, thank you for that. Nilusha, I'll go straight to you. Again, talking about a wellness destination as a whole. Sustainability is something, even through COVID, everyone started to realize what impact that we as humans have. We took away human activity for a couple of months, and things started changing environmentally so much that if you didn't believe in human activity causing problems for the world and sustainability before, you must believe it now. So in a wellness tourist mind, how important is sustainability, and how much should hotels, or country, or businesses in general, wellness tourism or otherwise, invest in sustainability moving forward?
Yes, Shalin. So we see when it comes to a wellness client, in their requirements, sustainability and community give back is one of the main components they would look for. Especially, I remember when clients inquire with us, they ask how sustainable this property is, how green are they, what are their green initiatives, what are they exactly doing to the local community. So these are really important, and we do have products in Sri Lanka, but I also see there is a huge potential for new properties to come in and add these elements in, as it's really important today for the new wellness traveler. Post-COVID, I feel, yes, the travel will be little lesser than number of trips they make would be lesser than what they used to. However, they would look for something really meaningful. So in that meaningful journey, the transformational journey, to have that fresh air, have some nice place to visit, and who's sustainable, and then also working with the communities will matter a lot. Working with the local communities, people really seek for that deep human connection, and then that will be very, very important at this stage for people to have that connection and even work closely with the locals and work with them, and then build a really nice connection. It will be really important. So definitely, yes, sustainability and community give back. These would be main elements in the future wellness traveler.
Absolutely, Nilusha. I mean, as just like how we've started to realize how sustainability is important, I think another key takeaway from these COVID times would be human connection and how much we rely on it and how much we miss it when it's taken away from us. So moving forward, I mean, these are really good wake-up calls for us, not just as an industry, but as human beings as well. Moving further into Sri Lanka as a wellness destination, Sam, can you straight to the point, just name a few things that we need to get going in terms of experiences that Sri Lanka has potential for, that we are not leveraging on enough on the wellness tourism side?
Again, yeah, sure. So I think, Ayurveda is the main focal point at the moment. Sri Lanka, like I said at my earlier touches, that mindfulness meditation, you really need to market that big way. And the second, third practice, the Sri Lanka is incredibly blessed with the nature and the beauty. Nature is the biggest healing factor. People come to the nature. That will be the priority. So, and that with that, sustainability and community health, and making connection, that those are the things that we should really be focusing on. And in terms of trends, like there are other trends that is developing, people are seeking for, like especially Japanese clients, they are really big into forest bathing. So Sri Lanka is blessed with the forest, and I think this is something we are really looking into it. And those are the real factors that we need to identify specific USP Sri Lanka. So in terms of that, Ayurveda is the main factor, which we already established. Then we bring the mindfulness meditations, and then the third factor will be the people are looking for sustainability and environmental factors, so that you have offerings, and then those are the things I could really think about it in terms of really specifically Sri Lanka can work on.
Thank you, Sam. Going a little towards the marketing side, Annie. Establishing ourselves, or preparation is one side. Telling the world about it is another very important side of it, which Sri Lanka hasn't done too well in the past, and which we're working on. So, what's your advice for Sri Lanka as marketing the destination?
Don't worry about not getting it quite right immediately. I mean, you've got such a rich tapestry to offer. The world needs you. Yes, of course, get the message out there. Just make it as easy as possible, okay, for people to get to you, to know about you. I mean, collaboration is key on that marketing. I mean, you all want to be on the same page, from government, to business, to promoters. You want the right partners, obviously, in the countries that you want to draw in from, that are on exactly the same page. And I mean, you had Stella on. Clarity, as I said, a clear message that cuts through in terms of others, and it's still all those things that Sam mentioned: the Ayurveda, the mindfulness, the nature. Do for those people coming, and their own personal health is on their mind, and it's. COVID was sold in the beginning as a sort, what I mean, positioned as something that affected more elderly people, or people with underlying conditions, and actually not so. It's affecting some very healthy people as well. So it's incredibly important for people to be in rude health, in great shape. And that's something that Sri Lanka can do. You're an island, so you can control. You could say, we have a COVID-free space. You're going to leave us with an optimized immune system, with an optimized respiratory system, through Ayurveda, through nature, through our human emergence and our spiritual support network. However you do that, but I think decide quickly on what you want those messages to be, and absolutely push them out there, but be prepared to be agile, to respond, to tweak in some. You don't have to get it absolutely perfect right out of the gate. You can build up to that. That's okay.
Also, another one with marketing, I think Sri Lanka should have a focus strategy where it focuses on those markets, or should it be fairly open-ended at this stage, where we are talking about immunity, better health, the whole island concept, and so on?
I think the markets that are most that you have the biggest relationships with, and I have a feeling Germany, Switzerland, Japan. Am I right in saying that, or is that left field?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, I think definitely, push on open doors, push on the doors that are already, open to you. And, I'm sure that that's information that Franz must have covered, in that report for you to reveal, whatever additional opportunities, lie there for you. But, more than ever, it's about a joined up approach, a collaboration through all of those sectors that you have. Interdependence is unavoidable. You won't have success if you're not if you don't take a joined up approach. You know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
Great, thank you. I think we're coming on to about the time we end up, but a few quick things we need to get in. Doctor, something to ask you. Right now, Sri Lanka has been handling COVID quite well. Businesses seem to be opening up. Hospitality has opened up as well. Pretty much everything shy of the wellness centers in Sri Lanka have been given permission to open. Doctor, in your opinion, are we in a good enough place to open the wellness centers as well? Can we move on that in a structured manner?
Actually, the wellness tourism is one part of our economy. When we consider in the economy in Sri Lanka, we have to think about the tourism part also. In the tourism field, the wellness tourism and the health medical tourism is most important. Most of the foreigners, they are coming to here for wellness, to have a wellness tourism, otherwise the medical tourism. Then we have, if we are reopening the tourism field, we have to think about the wellness tourism. But there are some problems because especially the coronavirus, that it is spread directly, the very close contaminations. And because of that, we have to be careful about the safety of our staff members as well as our client also. In Ayurveda or the traditional medicine sector, with the help of our health ministry, we create some committee, the COVID-19 committee in the indigenous medicine sector, and we plan to do the two parallel systems. I mean that we plan to do something. We plan to prepare the protocol for the prevention aspect as well as the protocol for the curative aspect. Actually, the curative aspect we planned by having some expert knowledge, expert opinion from the Indian Ayurveda professors, and also we have our two Ayurveda universities, actually the Kalyan University as well as the Colombo University. We get some special knowledge from our expertise, and we create a treatment protocol. And but however, according to the Act, the Quarantine Act, we were unable to give that treatment to the patient. But however, in the prevention protocol, we have totally successful because we gave all the preventive protocols to the quarantine centers and the other isolated villages and all the staff members in our forces and our hospitals and the hospital staff and doctors, and the most of the people, they took our preventive measures. What I want to tell is, if we are reopening our tourism sector, we have to think about that part also, because of the safety of our people as well as our client. Then we can add that preventive measures to our tourism sector also. Right? For an example, if you are doing the Shirodhara or Sarvangadhara or any other Ayurveda treatment or the Kelaveda Kama treatment, apart from that, we can introduce our preventive measures. Then it is something good for our client also. And also, by introducing this system, we can we can protect from the disease. And the other aspect is we can promote our Helaveda to the foreign countries. And the other thing is there are so many other preventive measures, not only for the human beings, but in the environmental purification methods also we can use. In our Helaveda system, we are having so many purification methods, so many other environmental purification methods we can use for in this post-COVID period. That's how we can introduce our Helaveda and Ayurveda system to the tourism field in this post-COVID series.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Just before we end, I'd like to address a question that's come on our question column. I think I should be able to address this myself. They ask, is there any practical solution than discussion to boost wellness tourism? So, I think the answer to that is, discussion is what's going to lead to the practical solutions. We're all here in this webinar series to build to promote wellness tourism. So that is it. On top of that, the EDB has been working with Dr. Frans Linzer, who's done an in-depth report of the wellness tourism sector in Sri Lanka and made some recommendations on how to promote it. The Tourist Board too, of Sri Lanka Tourism, has been engaging people in the sector again to make a plan to take this forward. So I will assure you, Shan, that there is a lot being done right now. Everyone's on their feet, moving to see how we can position this, position Sri Lanka on the wellness tourism map. And all these webinars are part of that. And it's not the discussion, but discussion that will lead to more thought and then actionable planning is where we want to take it. The Wellness Tourism Association is committed to that as well. We are a group of people from the industry who come together, who work with the government agencies to take it there. So rest assured, it's work in progress. Thank you everybody for joining us. I think our time is done today. Thank you very much for joining from different parts of the world. If you have any last comments, I'll open it up to each of you for just one last comment. I think I'll start with Annie because in video order of what I see. Any last comments, Annie?
Well, gosh, I mean, just take advantage of I'll call it the gift of COVID. You know, this is a globally historic point from a cultural priority perspective. You know, health and well-being is going to go a few rungs up the ladder. So if you forgive me for being so blunt, strike while the iron's hot, be clear on your messaging, and reap your rewards. You know, you have the most beautiful destination, and you know, optimize its healing potential, you know, for everyone who comes to you.
Thank you. Sam?
Sure, thanks. I think my vision is that, you know, I'm deeply passionate about Sri Lanka, and I also, it breaks my heart when it comes to the airport, you know, this mass tourism coming to Sri Lanka, because it's not sustainable long term. So my passion and my vision is that Sri Lanka become more sustainable wellness tourism. First time in our history, and we have opportunity to make that. We can all be change makers in terms of Sri Lanka position ourselves as a wellness tourism, because we can bring much more income and export development through focusing on wellness tourism. Also, Sri Lanka doesn't go down the roads like places like in Thailand, Bali exploited. So we are still a pure nation, a pure country, and I want to see that remain, and same time take the opportunity that is presented from COVID-19 to position ourselves as a wellness destination. I think we all collectively should work on that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Doctor, any last words before we end?
Actually, the Sri Lanka is a very good destination for the health tourism as well as the wellness tourism. And now, actually, after the COVID period, this is the new start of the sector, and we are most welcome to all the foreigners to come to Sri Lanka, and they can have our traditional system and our environment and everything they can enjoy, and with the safety, and we can serve in the Ayurveda system as well as the traditional system and our Ayurveda Kama system, and we can give full safety and effectiveness treatment as well as the service to all our foreigners. Thank you.
Thank you. Nilusha, a note to end?
Yes, Shalin. We would like to welcome everyone to Sri Lanka. When you're looking for this journey of healing, journey of transformation, and in these elevated grounds, and we are really looking forward to give you a unique experience and a life elevation. So I feel Sri Lanka would be one of the wellness destinations, as we are confident in our service and in our offerings, and also with the wellness experts. So we will be working towards giving something really unique and special, and then do visit us, and you are in safe hands.
Thank you, Nilusha, and thank you all of you for joining us. The third of the webinars will be on the 10th. Please join us, so that if you haven't registered yet, just go to the link and register. Thank you all for joining us, and Ayubowan.